So I'll call today's meeting to order and we'll start with roll call. So I'll start. Allison Buck, present in Ann Arbor. Sarah Fuller.
Present in Chelsea.
Great. I know Jamal Bufford is going to be absent tonight. Let's see, Sophie Grier. Sophie, you are here, correct?
Yes, I'm present in Ann Arbor.
Thank you. Marianetta Porter.
Present Ann Arbor.
Great. Mary Thiefels.
Present Grass Lake.
Great. Fang Zhang.
Present in Ann Arbor.
And please correct me if I pronounce it incorrectly.
Fang Zhang.
Fang Zhang. I was not
Sorry.
even close. We'll let you do a little introduction later on, too. Don't let me forget. Peggy Leonard.
Present in Ann Arbor, Michigan.
Great. John Kotarski.
Present Ann Arbor, Michigan.
Great. John, your microphone sounds a little funny, just FYI. Is there anyone else? I don't have the full list in front of me. Do we have anyone else absent? Cynthia's not here. But other than that, we're good.
Other than that, we're good.
Okay. All right. I guess next we will move on to approval of the agenda. Do I have a motion to approve? I see Peggy raised your hand first. A second. John, thank you. Any comments or additions to the agenda? I wanted to add, we're going to talk a little bit about a sculpture that's being donated by the Ann Arbor Art Fairs. Vanita, where did you want me to add that after the public comments or?
Yes, let's do it after Fanny's presentation, if that's okay with you.
That's great.
And
then I also wanted to have Fang Zhang introduce themselves to us. Maybe we can do that next.
Sure.
and I would just have just a couple of sentences, a quick update about my meeting with Yipsy Arts Commission.
Great. Was that part of one of your committee work?
Yeah.
All right. So why don't we do that during the report from committees?
Okay.
That would be great. All right. Do I have a motion to approve those additions? Sarah, thank you. John, second. All in favor? Any opposed? Great. Okay. So without further ado, Fang Zhang, would you like to introduce yourself to all of us? Tell us a little bit about yourself and thank you for joining us.
Oh, actually, I probably met a couple of you, right? Several of you last time.
Yeah, you did.
Yes.
I know I missed it.
And Marianetta suggested we go for a meeting at some point, but yeah, due to the commitments of some sorts, I mean, we couldn't get together. That was a little setback. But I came to Ann Arbor in 2016. I was invited as a Hughes Scholar by University of Michigan. And since then, I have been staying here. I worked with University of Michigan as an adjunct lecturer. And also I taught at the Eastern last semester. And right now I am preparing for a Zoom conversation between the curator of contemporary art at Hirshhorn Museum with all the participating Chinese artists. And next, I'm thinking maybe I will resume teaching in the winter, teaching contemporary art. And basically, I'm mostly living here as a mother of 3 kids, raising my children, and also doing some research on contemporary art. And mostly, introducing Asian contemporary art to my students. Yeah.
Wonderful. Thank you. If you already did the introduction last time, I'm sorry, but thank you for doing it again. The next thing on our agenda is public comment, and we have Manuel Montoya here to talk to us.
Yes, hi, good evening, everyone. Myself, along with my colleague, Melissa, I work for the city. I've been working for the city for some time now, 7 years. I work for the IT department, started with the water treatment plant, managing their wireless facilities. And we are, I decided to volunteer in efforts on the bicentennial initiatives that the city is taking on. As many of you know, those that do live in the city of Ann Arbor, city of Ann Arbor is turning 200 years old as of 2024. In celebration of the rich history and the cultural heritage that we have, that the city brings, the diversity, we are doing some initiatives that includes events, includes getting some volunteers or getting, all the employees to partake on many events. And today I would like to present to you one of those initiatives, and that is we will be conducting, or we'll be putting some murals, art, throughout a couple of parks that I will be presenting here. Let me just take you guys into my screen. Let me see here if I could do this. Who is the host that could allow me to share my screen?
I can, if you have that. Hold on one second.
All right, here we go. Let me know if you guys could see this.
Yes.
All right. So we will be conducting we will be celebrating the bicentennial, the 200 years of the city. And those initiatives, or those efforts, will include the renaming of the Southeast Area Park to name it to be named Bicentennial Park. Some of the renovations will include adding some splash pads, some parking lot improvements, and many more. We will be doing the 2 murals that, again, we are hoping that we get support from the Art Commission to get some recommendations for once we do the call off for artists. We would like to get some suggestions from you, from the group, in hopes that we can narrow it down to 2 finalists, or to good artists, whether they're local or outside Ann Arbor, that you guys would recommend. The bicentennial mural and 2 parks includes having staff from different units, internal units. Again, I'm from IT. We have other colleagues of mine that are working from transportation, communication, DDA, sustainability, and parks and recreation. We will be seeking artists to submit murals designed that recognizes the past, the present, and obviously the future of our community in celebration of the 200 years of Ann Arbor. The artists will receive we do have a budget of $25,000 contract that we will select the artists to do these murals at the 2 parks. We're hoping that with this budget, we are able to select one design that will fit on the 2 parks, which is Southeast Park and Leslie Park. We're hoping that once a finalist, once they submit the proposal, we have a criteria and the guidelines that they will follow. We will submit that to you guys for review as well. And those that, I guess the 2 runner-ups will receive at least $500 for their time and effort in the design that they put towards the murals of the basketball court. So again, we will select an artist that will pick one design for the two parks. As shown here on my presentation, we have Leslie Park and Southeast that will soon to be named Bicentennial Park. We are working with different localities, different cities, and different municipalities which have taken the same effort and initiatives. And as you can see on the screen here, some of those examples that we will be looking and to consider.
You want me to go ahead, Manny?
Yep, and then for the call out for the artists and the requirements, I'll let Melissa take the word.
Hi, I'm Melissa Schacht. I'm from Parks and Rec. So we do have some requirements on our call outs. Firstly, of course, since these are basketball courts, it's really important that we have the court markings that you could see in what the courts look like right now. So they are NCAA I can't remember what the term is, but they're like the appropriate size and have the appropriate markings. So we're requiring those. They can we'll consider either having the court markings just laid on top of the murals, or artists are welcome to incorporate those markings into the design somehow, maybe in a cool way. And then we're requiring that the city's bicentennial logo is in the center circle of the court. We had that logo on the first page of our presentation. It's also in our call out, so you'll be able to see that. And then the designs shouldn't include any letters, numbers, or words other than Ann Arbor City, the number 200 or bicentennial. And then of course we don't want it to include any logos or advertising or anything that would be considered inappropriate, such as some violent depiction or maybe something political. And then we're also requiring that the artists use water-based traffic paint, and that it's skid resistant. Water-based paint is going to be easier to clean up and it has lower toxicity. We are generating a temporary email address for the murals to be the proposals to be submitted to. You can see it there. And then the proposals should include a photo sketch of their design. We're only accepting one design per artist or per entry. And then we're looking for a description of the inspiration of the design and how it relates to the city's bicentennial. A lot of these murals that we see are fairly abstract, so a description of the inspiration is really helpful in that case. And then, of course, we're looking for a list of materials that they plan on using. And one requirement that we feel really passionate about is to ask that each of the murals incorporate at least 10 volunteer hours. Painting, especially murals, is something that the community and volunteers really love to do, and it's a good way to get the community involved. So it's not too many hours, but a volunteer could help with prepping the site or doing some kind of base coat or really getting involved in installing the art. And then we're looking for the artists to include how they're connected to Ann Arbor and more about their inspiration and why they want to be involved, and then more about how they'll be using the budget. And the budget that they're given will include all of the materials and their time and labor and the creative effort in the design. And then we do have a statement in our call out that I imagine is fairly standard, that the city has the authority to repair or remove the mural at its own expense, probably due to damage if that happens. Or we would also reach out to the artist to coordinate maybe some repairs and their help with that. And then if the artist wants to make any changes to the murals after it's complete, they'll have to work with the city. And this is our tentative timeline. So we're hoping to get the call out public within the next, like as soon as possible, really, within the next week or two. And then we might be adjusting the time that the submission period closes, just to give artists enough time to come up with their work. And then we're looking to announce the finalists and start the community engagement portion. So we'll after the committee or our team narrow it down to 3 finalists, we'll be doing like some kind of online survey for the community to vote on their favorite art. And then in March, hopefully we'll be able to announce the winning design, and then moving forward to installation in June, and looking to do a grand unveiling on July 1st. So the artist will be responsible for acquiring the materials needed, and again allowing for a minimum of 10 volunteer hours per mural. Our Give 365 volunteer program in Parks and Rec will be able to recruit the volunteers and do that part of the advertising. And then we'll have some like volunteer events that we will have to facilitate with the artist to coordinate the volunteers, which should be really fun. And then the artist will be responsible for the other work to finish up the murals. And yeah, like Manny said, we would love to give your input on any suggestions you have for changing our approach, and then also your assistance or recommendations with how to get the word out with local communities or local like art groups or whatnot, so we can have a wide range of applicants. But thank you so much for listening.
Yeah, any questions from the group? Again, being our first being part of the group or joining on the call, I want to thank Vanita Harrison for allowing us the time. I see Sophie, you have a question?
Yeah, I had a couple of questions actually. One was about the timing. To me, 3 weeks doesn't seem very long for an artist to actually have seen the call and then thought about it, slept on it, done some sketches, redone some sketches, meanwhile having their life as well. It seems pretty short. So I don't know whether you could add a little bit to that. And then the other question I had was about the artists purchasing the paint or supplies. And if they're not an experienced muralist, they may not have a clear idea where to get anything from. And I don't know whether we could offer them some advice, or there could be some kind of handout sheet to help with that.
So as being the timeline, being a tentative timeline, I think the dates are could be flexible. With the target goal of having it completed by by next fiscal year, which is July 1st. I obviously at that point we will look into it. Things may get stretched out or get shorter. But yeah, I think the timeline, being that is tentative right now, is definitely flexible for giving the artists plenty of time. 3 weeks for an artist. I'm not an artist. I love art. I know it can take some time from drawing something from 1 minute. It'll take, or compared to, spending an hour on the art, it does take time. So thank you for that. And I will definitely note it. But again, the timeline right now, at least being the goal of July 1st of 2024 is what we're looking at, targeting completion.
I think the committee, and to your second question or comment, Sophie, I think that our mural committee can definitely work with the artist on what materials they might need, especially with working with volunteers too. That might add a whole nother layer to that. So I think in our call out, we do ask for a list of materials that they expect to need and how they'll be spending the budget. So I think that might help. That might allow us, give us an opportunity to work with them a little bit on that.
I had a question.
Yeah.
could you talk a little bit more about the selection process? Who will determine the finalists? And you also kind of mentioned that the community would have some input, and what weight does that have in terms of finalizing the last standing candidate?
So, right now in our call out, it says that our committee will narrow down amongst ourselves to the 3 finalists.
Okay.
And we'll be using the requirements in the call out to guide that, I think. And then for the community engagement part, yeah, we'll have like a survey, something like a survey that we'll put out for people to vote, I guess, more or less, or provide their comments on the art. And right now we say that that will be taken into consideration when choosing the one winner. But if you have any suggestions on or experience with that, then
No, I just wanted some clarification on that. Thank you.
Yeah, we obviously engaging the community. It is this is, I will consider it their park, right? They will have some suggestions of what they want to see on a day-to-day basis. If they go out and do some exercises on the court, obviously we will definitely consider their input and what they have to say. And they will be the ones in the community will be engaged, and we'll definitely communicate, and hoping that we get a lot of interest from the community around. John, did you have a question?
Yeah, but I think that Fang was ahead of me. Go ahead.
Oh, okay, go ahead, man.
Oh, you're muted.
Oh, my question is, first, I do see you have shared with us the document, right? The list of the requirements and the timeline, whatever, the materials, how to carry it out, all this information, you will be able to share with us, right?
Correct. Yeah, and that's again the point of the reason for us joining the call and allowing us to just to present to you guys. We figured that it will get some interest from some of you folks, and we get either individual call out or individual follow-ups, which we don't mind organizing those meetings and those calls between those that are interested in helping us support this. So definitely. Yes, definitely.
And the second question, for those 2 parks, I'm wondering about the size of it. That you talked about the markings. So how big a feet in terms of width and length, and is it as high as, I mean, all these facilities, like the ladders, whatever, that scaffolds, whatever, for the artists to mount that murals. So the size of it and how to work on that, I mean, I don't know the height of it, so maybe the designer or the artist will have to get on this ladder, right? The scaffolds to work on that, or is it just on the floor? I assume it's mural.
It's just on the floor. It's just on the floor of the basketball court.
Oh, okay.
And in the call out and in one of the slides, we do have the measurements laid out. And actually, one of the courts is 1 full court, and then the other court currently is like a full basketball court, and then there's 2 half courts. So that one's a little different, and we tried to be clear about that in the call out that we would like the artist to have they could go about it in a couple of ways. We could have like the full court and the 2 half courts basically be like identical, or they could take the liberty of doing being creative and changing them up a little bit.
Yeah, and that was Leslie Park that included the full court, and then also to another within the center section of that full court.
Okay, and the last question is, I could take an initiative to reach out to Michigan and Eastern for the School of Art and Design. I could send out to the administrator, who can send all these out to the students. I'm wondering maybe possibly instead of one single individual artist, could be a couple of them, the student can work together, engaging, their friends, whatever, community people. So is that fine if the finalist, whatever, I mean, the last final could be like a group, a team?
Yeah, and those again are more the reason for participating on today's call was to do a reach out to you guys to in support of that, of ideas. I'm sure you guys may handle more of these initiatives more than how we handle it. So definitely would love to do that.
Okay,
Yeah, I
the
think
last,
it's fine if a group or if a group of few people or a larger group submitted a design.
okay, the last question is for what is that? Okay, you guys go ahead. I will think about that. The last question.
Okay, I'll come back to you,
Yes.
Fang, and John. You're up next.
Thank you. The selection process, I think, is an excellent opportunity to promote the parks, promote this effort, promote the artists, the Centennial Park, and it's a great opportunity. There are a couple of elements that I think that my experience has taught me you might want to think deeply about. One is the panelists, the judges. You should probably have some kind of professional expertise on there, as well as representatives of the parks and of the community, so that they can judge exactly what the artist is planning to do and how easy that is going to be or not. The second part is the criteria that panel is going to use. I'd recommend that you really do a deep dive on that and clearly make it distribute that criteria to everyone, including the community. This is how this group is going to evaluate, and so they know that going in. Third is that the public input. My experience has been if you put 3 selections out there and you ask people for their input, people generally think that they're voting on it, and they think that the project with the most votes, will be selected. Frankly, I think that's good. I would challenge your panelists to select 3 home runs, that whichever one of these 3 get it, they would be happy with it. And then let the community build interest among, the projects and let them go. If you don't do that, know that people are going to say, wait a minute, and if their input isn't going to really matter, like a vote, they may be less inclined to be engaged in it. So I think I would look for that community input as an opportunity to really engage the whole city and community, and and there are ways. I know that with IT that you can you have to be a resident in order to get on. I think I forget whatever the software is, but you have to put in your address. So it's only city residents. You can't be from Chicago and vote on this thing. But that would be my advice. And I think it's a great idea, by the way. I think it's absolutely awesome. And good luck.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, that's really helpful.
Very. Peggy?
I also just want to say, I think it's a really unique idea. We have murals everywhere, but I've never thought of putting them on basketball court. So I'm excited to see it. It kind of gives it a whole different dimension when it's flat like that. So yeah, kudos to you guys. I think it's going to be a great project.
Thank you.
Thank you. Mary?
Thank you. I am going to speak on the kind of the logistics of this and the materials. So ground murals are definitely becoming more and more popular across the nation and around the world. There's a lot of information out there and best practices around materials. I can't stress enough that the surface should be repaired before the artists show up, that it is cleaned for them. I don't think that cleaning and power washing should come out of the budget of the creative. The city should do as much in-kind support in that regard. In terms of the design, design complexity could be a real issue if there's just a lot going on. So showing examples of previous projects, I think, will be really helpful in your proposal. As far as sharing this out with the community, Creative Washtenaw is an excellent resource. Deb Pollock, they do a monthly newsletter. This is exactly what they do. This is, and they reach a lot of people and have a lot of members. Deb Pollock, who's one of our advocates and allies, is the executive director there, and I'm happy to connect. As a muralist and someone that has 25 years experience in working on different surfaces and different spaces, I highly recommend that you take some of these aspects very seriously and not lean on the artist to know. So I kind of second what Sophie was saying about creating a pamphlet. Here are the materials we require you to use, because we have done ground murals, Treetown Murals has, and we've had them completely gone within 2 weeks because the materials, the surfaces weren't cleaned properly. So it's very important. And I'm happy to sit on your panel. I'm happy to offer advice along the way. I think your timeline is tight. I think it's a little bit, staying on point with this. If you're talking about people pulling in elements of the city, you're talking about a lot of research. So, 200 years of a city on a ground mural, I'm just not sure it can be encapsulated. So you're putting a lot of effort into the proposal. You're expecting artists to research, design, and then submit something in full color. This is something that we're typically paid to do. So it's very important that you create parameters that people can work in, and potentially even create a small stipend to submit a proposal. A design is more than half of the project, more than half.
Right.
And for an artist to volunteer their expertise to be thrown into a pool of maybes is a big risk. And a lot of people will shy away from it. So you're asking for a request for proposals. You could consider a request for qualifications, where many artists from around the state will apply. And you can siphon through and look at their art and look at their styles, look at their expertise, and select 25 artists that then you invite to submit a design, or narrow it down even more, select 5 artists to submit a design. And that is actually much more up and coming. It's much more attractive to artists and muralists. We don't have time to sit around and design on a maybe, especially the good ones, the ones that you really want to engage. So these are just some suggestions I'm throwing out, and I'm happy to be a resource. Take down my email.
Yeah, no, thank you so much for that. I think you were part of the water treatment plant mural. So as you know, yeah, the surface had to be resurfaced, and we had to add more stucco to that stairwell. The artist came all the way from Mexico, correct?
That's
so
awesome.
Yes, we've been through that. At least I had a little bit of part of that or experience to it, but
Yeah,
all
we
that
met. That's right.
information it's great. Is definitely duly noted. The timelines, it is very aggressive, just being that the reason is because we just got the approval not long ago. It's like, all right, you have technically a year or 6-7 months. So it started with actually 7 basketball courts, and we had it narrowed it down to like, let's be realistic. Let's pick 2 parks. Let's push it forward with 2 parks. So there's a challenge, obviously, but I think the passion of us, being just volunteering and making our city grow and making that, it's just, the effort that I'm willing to take. and the challenge that I'm willing to take to make it happen. So.
Good.
And
That's
the-
awesome.
and
It's
the
But yeah,
time-
no,
exciting
definitely, Mary.
project.
We'll keep in touch. I believe you and I could work, or our group could work together to get some pointers like that and suggestions going forward.
Cool. Happy to help.
And the courts are, we basically picked these two courts because the surfacing is already, I don't know how to exactly to describe it, but it's surfacing that's prepped for a mural already. So the brand new course, and whatever the surfacing material that's on it is appropriate to put a mural down on. So that's a plus. And I don't think it'll be a problem to power wash or otherwise clean them beforehand.
Yep. Oh, Sarah, I'll let you, and then Fang, I'll finish with you. But yeah, Sarah, go ahead.
Hi there. This sounds like a great project, and I just wanted to shout out a potential resource. There's a nonprofit that I believe is based out of California called Project Backboard that has facilitated this exact type of project throughout the country. And they have some great examples of designs that incorporate all of the markings that are still vibrant and colorful and beautiful, and they might be a good resource.
Great, thank you. No, I noted it, and yeah, definitely a lot of research and homework left to be done. And last question, Fang, did you?
Yeah, my last question somehow was related to what Mary has been talking about, for the artist or the designer or any of the students to do the research about Ann Arbor 200 years. I'm just wondering whether we can give them a more detailed guidelines about what are the ideas, the themes we're looking for, to help them, orient their, perceptions.
Yeah, so following either following after we get off here, or first thing in the morning, I will gather the contacts. Vanita, if you don't mind, I will gather some contacts so I could share this with the entire group. We do have the requirements, we do have the guidelines that I'll be sharing, and just we'll most likely continue to follow up with you guys. May not, do we come back with an update with an updated presentation maybe, but we'll definitely keep in touch. But I will be sharing the slides as well as what we have written down as far as the criteria, guidelines, and requirements.
John,
All right, if there are no other final questions, again, I want to
John
thank.
had a question, and then
John?
I had a couple of closing statements for you guys.
Okay, go ahead, John.
I just want to reiterate Mary Thiefel's comments that, if the timeline's going to be short, I think you're going to get a better submission that if you have a request for qualifications, narrow that down to a few, maybe a half dozen, give them a stipend, let them really dig in deep. And then you could have a two-tiered sort of judging system, request for qualifications, be community and so forth. And then the finalists really be made up of some heavy duty experts like Mary. You could not get anybody better than a Mary Thiefels. But I sort of support what Mary has said about some kind of a stipend. You get the best artists around, you give them some money for their work, and then put it out to the community. So
no, I definitely duly noted. Again, thank you for that. But yes, for sure. I mean, I think we may have to go back to the group as well and just reshare some thoughts or rethink some of those some of the methodology that we were going to go to tackle this. But again, more of the more the merrier. And thank you again for all the suggestions and comments.
I'll just say, I think I read in your proposal, you were planning on already paying the second and third place winners. So you're kind of structured in a way you could revamp this to do the request for qualifications anyways. And in my mind, it's kind of like you're getting a portfolio from the artist of their work, as opposed to an example of specifically what they're going to do. So you can see what their style is, and then go from there on refining it into exactly what you want. And I would caution you guys that requirements are different than criteria. So like your requirements on what they need to submit and what materials they need to use would be different than the criteria you're going to use to evaluate them. So like, did they meet your guidelines or your requirements? That's like a checkbox. The criteria would more be like, are they highlighting themes that you wanted them to, and more of the in-depth questions. And I don't know that you gave a lot of information about that type of evaluation within your current proposal. So I think that's what people have been saying when you're going to evaluate it, what are those things going to be? I think you did do a good job with the very specific requirements, but those are two different things in my mind when you're evaluating something that's like a checkbox versus the more of the fluffy stuff of like how you're going to be judging the works, if that makes sense.
No, it does.
I think generally as a commission, we love to see more murals. We love to see more public art projects. Specifically, one of our tasks is to identify projects within the CIP that the city puts together that are for art enhancements, and basketball courts are one of them. We just recently identified. So I don't know if it was these two courts specifically, but there was some basketball courts that were on the CIP that we said, yes, add enhancements. So if these aren't those ones, then this will just be laying the groundwork for potentially for those to happen. So I'm very excited to see this project happening. And I think you have our full support for it to happen, and our support for more questions and expertise along the way.
Right. And honestly, this is more than what I expected from all you guys. So I thank you. We really do appreciate it. We'll share all these comments. Like I said, it did started with with 7 courts and 7 parks, and then narrowed it down to, just because of the guidelines and the tight scheduling, we narrowed it down to 2. But yeah, I again, Vanita, thank you again for allowing us some time. It most likely took the majority of the hour, but that goes to show that, you know, everybody's interest when it comes to art and getting the community involved. I think it's important to us, and we'll continue to all the way to the end, right? So
yeah, thank you for coming.
Yeah,
Talk
thank
to
you
us
guys.
about it.
Yep, we'll keep in touch. Vanita will reach out individually or tomorrow separately, and to kind of debrief. So again, thank you guys, and I hope you guys have a great evening.
Thank you.
Bye. Thank you.
All right. So the next on the agenda is me. So the Ann Arbor Art Fair, as you guys probably know, is made up of 3 different nonprofits. The Guild of Artists and Artisans is one of them, as well as the State Street Area Association and the Original Art Fair. And all 3 organizations have come together to purchase a sculpture from one of the art fair artists that we will be donating back to the city in honor of the bicentennial around next year's fair. The hope is to have the sculpture installed somewhere around the State Street and North University area, where all 3 of the fairs kind of come together. The sculpture is made by Richard Morgan, who goes by Richard Allen Studios. It's approximately 11.16 feet tall, and is a tree sculpture. I think Vanita is pulling up the image of it as we speak. But at any rate, he's a phenomenal metal sculptor who has done lots of public art installations, and is the art fair is purchasing this piece from him and then donating it back to the city in honor of the bicentennial. Vanita, are you able to bring up the picture of the sculpture by chance? I think it's attached to that email that we're looking at. I can see it very, very small on that email.
I'm just hoping that it's mooring tabs and not moaning tabs that are going to be attached to it.
We can see it, Vanita.
So that's the top part of it. And then if we scroll, yeah, we're back. Yeah, that's the entirety of it. So the the spiky things and those parts are going to be coming off. So it'll just be the rounded portion up. And Richard will work on us how to, and the city on how to install it in a safe way. And we haven't, like I said, we haven't decided specifically where it goes. We're going to work with the city on a safe place for it to be within that intersection or at that neighborhood. Does anyone have any questions, suggestions? John?
I love the piece. And,
Okay.
you know, if there's any way that the city can light it, I think it would be spectacularly lit.
I agree. Yeah. I that's definitely something to consider, and when we're installing it, if there could be lighting.
I can imagine it would be tempting for people to climb on the dome part and swing around it. So I hope it's very strong.
Yes, in general, Richard's pieces are very, very, very sturdy. And it's hard to imagine, like, so it's like 11.16 feet tall. So it's hard for me to imagine like at what point the circle part is and how much taller that is to me and what parts I would be able to touch and climb on and whatnot.
I wonder if this could be, there's an event going on January 19th that you might already know about, Allison, that is kind of a kickoff event that I know Destination Ann Arbor is involved with. I had a meeting with Amy Carbo from Destination Ann Arbor earlier today about that event. And I wonder if that would be a good time to make an announcement that this sculpture will be donated. I think there's this is happening, I think at the Michigan Theater. And so there will be time for presentations and perhaps a fun unveiling of what is to be installed, just to kind of drum up some excitement.
Oh, cool.
I can
Yeah, I'll
share
have to look into
that
it.
with you. Yeah.
Yeah, that would be great.
Allison, we also want to remember that if we could have some information from the artist on any recommendations for location, maintenance of the piece, and just an ideal of a little more background. If there's an idea too about a placard that may need to go with it. I know that it's coming from your team and the artist, also the art fair group as a team. So I just share those things out as we move closer. Most importantly, I think, is the location of where he may want it placed.
So we're purchasing the piece, so he doesn't care where we put it, other than I think we would like to consult him as far as installation, as you know, that portion.
Okay.
Yeah. Mhm.
Okay. All right.
But yeah, we're definitely we have that form from you that we have to complete, and I think the maintenance was on there and a couple of those other things that you mentioned as far as materials and stuff. So yeah, we are working on getting that information.
Okay, good. Thank you.
Mm-hmm. Any other question or feedback from you guys? Great. Just wanted to share that with you all. So we will move on to approval of the minutes from our last meeting. Do I have a motion to approve?
So move.
Thank you, John. Do I have a second? Thank you, Marinetta. Any discussion about the minutes? All right, so all in favor? Great, any opposed? Great, the minutes are approved. Next on our agenda is old business. Vanita, do you want to go over the murals? The bridge? Or is that Mary?
It's just a brief overview of where the murals at Bridge, what the status of it is right now. I'm happy to let Mary share some information if she'd like. I just put a small few details of where we are right now at this point.
Yeah, thanks, Vanita. Just really briefly, the project for Huron is now being pushed to March. The requirements from MDOT, some of the legal has kind of tied us up. So we decided about a month ago to move and shift to spring. So the project is fully funded and is happening. We just have a little more time to go through the MDOT requirements.
Cool.
And Vanita, I finally have the contracts from Watco, and I will be sending that back to you probably on Friday.
Thank you.
Yes, girl.
That's awesome. I've been working really hard on this. We kind of came to an abrupt stop at some point, so I'm glad to see. Yeah, let's get it done. This is awesome.
Wonderful. The Prison Creative Arts Project donation. Councilmember Harrison, do you want to give us an update? Looks like you were involved with that.
Yeah, so the update I have, well, first of all, good evening, everyone. I'm sorry, I was had a meeting from 6 to 8 that I had to hop off and was in the audience. So sorry for being late, a little bit late. But so basically, Vanita, Sarah, and I met at City Hall to look at some locations for this piece of art. And Vanita, what I wanted to let you know is that I did see Sarah at an event a couple weeks ago, and we decided on the area in the hallway over where the, I guess, security is. Do you remember that space that we looked at?
I do. Yes.
Yeah, we agreed that that would be the space. So that's my update. That's the only update that I really have. You might know more about the rest of it.
Yeah, I do just have a couple of things to add. I think in talking to our building staff, what we found out is the location in the main lobby behind the area that's behind the security station is ash. So we're like a cluster of ash trees that were still throughout the city, and that's how that wall came about. So there is a concern about the placement of the piece there, simply because we need to double check the weight. We do have the measurements of it, but there may be an issue with the weight based off of how the wall is placed there now.
Gotcha.
And if you remember, it was an exterior brick actually behind the ash, but we still need to understand how, depending on how heavy it is, how we would work with facilities and probably call somebody in to double check how to understand the weight that can be held there. So I say that just as a FYI, we're still checking it out. We'll more than likely we'll have to call in the original builders. I think it was Quinn Evans who did that portion of City Hall. So we need some measurements and some weight guidelines from them.
Gotcha. Okay, so a little bit more to explore before we make that final decision. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I talked with Sarah, I think last week or the week before,
Mhm.
and our conversation last week kind of prompted a little bit more
Gotcha.
that she
That
needed.
would have
So
been after we spoke. Okay.
yes,
Okay. Well, thank you for that update.
you're welcome.
Could I just add one more thing?
Yes.
That my understanding is that wall actually is an art piece in and of itself. This is the emerald ash borer sort of went through our city, and that those trees were specifically selected and turned into that wall as a commemoration of that event. So it's not that something couldn't be on there, but you know, that's the background as I understood that wall to be. Maybe if you included a plaque that commemorated that and then added artwork to it or something like that. But
Mhm.
you know,
Okay.
you would know better than we would, Cynthia, the what's necessary for the city.
It would be really, gosh, even if we didn't, I think that would be appropriate to have a plaque there anyway, regardless
I
of,
totally agree. Totally
Yeah.
agree.
yeah, who knew? I mean, I'm sure a lot of people don't know that fact.
Right.
about
The
that.
architect does, and I mean,
Yeah.
they intended it to be that.
Okay. That's good to know. Yeah. Okay.
Thank you, John. Cynthia.
Great. Well, thank you for all those updates and insight. Sounds like it's coming along. So I'm glad to hear that it's coming along. So the manhole art final casting, looks like we're gonna get our third piece coming
Yeah.
into installations now. That's exciting. And Power Art is happening again. Yay.
It is.
Sophie, did you have a question about the manhole cover before I talk about Power Art?
Yeah, my question is, should they be called inspection covers rather than manhole covers?
We definitely had this whole conversation
Right.
during the selection process of them. However,
A bit old wave, really, but you know.
yeah,
you know.
because that is what they are known as, and people wouldn't know what I was talking about if I said inspection covers. We stuck with manhole covers to avoid confusion. So that's cool. I'm excited to see those going up. And Power Art, vinyl artwork reproductions. I'm excited to see another phase of that happening, and I'm actually very excited to see that maintenance agreement is part of that, seeing as they are hard to maintain, and I see a lot of them not being maintained or redone or whatever. So that
Yeah.
is good.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, let us know if we can help get the word out about that in any way. Obviously, being produced by Creative Washtenaw, they have the upper hand in getting the word out and don't really need our help, but we're happy to help in any way
Yeah.
we can.
The DDA is really excited about a new round of these, so they're working real closely to
Cool.
have
Are
this.
they just filling in gaps or replacing some or
Both.
both? Cool.
Yep.
Great.
Yep.
All right. Any questions about those old business items before we move on to new business? Great. New business. Do you want to jump in here, Vanita?
Sure. If you hadn't had a chance yet to visit City Hall, we have a new mural in the City Council chambers, second floor of City Hall. As long as there are no meetings present, you're welcome to head up to the second floor and see a new mural that was placed in the ceiling alcove. Tess is her name, and I'll butcher her last name, but she spent a weekend a few weeks ago here, her and her team, a lot of scaffolding, a lot of moving around, and a lot of adjustments. Went very, very seamlessly for her to install that, and actually finished a little early. So I welcome the opportunity for folks to stop by and take a look at it. Again, it was done as our computer team goes through and does some long overdue upgrades within the city council chambers, which are primarily behind the scenes for the most part. There may be some changes to a few of the TVs and some of the speaker systems, but majority of the work that IT is doing in council chambers is really behind the scenes. So the mayor asked for an initiative to see if something could be done with the ceiling at the same time. And that's what we came up with. And
Mary,
I'm
you
sorry,
have
I
your
don't
hand
have
up.
a good picture.
What's the name of the artist, Vanita? Can you at least spell
her-
the last name?
Marhofer, first name Tess.
TESS.
Marhofer. Tess.
Yes.
Okay. Cool.
And
I can't wait
did
to
you
check it out.
Did you say you do have an image of it, Vanita, or no? Not yet.
I do not yet.
Once you have an image, we'll be adding it to our online tour.
Yes.
Wonderful. I mean, not that I won't come see it in person, but
Yes. A lot of art is real busy for some reason right now, which is wonderful. We've got a lot of things going on. Golden Paintbrush. We also have, and I'm gonna not get everything at this time, but we have the team doing the golden, right? I said Golden Paintbrush already, right? Yeah,
Flag contest.
yeah, we're busy with a lot of things art, which is great. I'm happy that we've got more and more folks as the CIP projects come on board. Folks are reaching out quite a bit to let us know about their projects. So I am imagining that we'll continue to have staff reach out about upcoming projects. And I'm excited for art always.
wonderful. All right. Under report from staff, there isn't anything, but you basically already reported a bunch of stuff. So I think that's covered.
I never know
anything
where
else?
to put it. Yeah, I never know where to put anything. Sorry.
That's okay. Sophie?
Yeah, I just want to thank Vanita for stepping in when some of us were too busy to really do our job on this one, and keep the Golden Paintbrush ball rolling and the city flag contest. She did a lot of the work on it, so thanks, Vanita.
Oh, yeah, city flag, right. That's
Oh.
just ended, and we are moving on that too, and not quite there yet, organized just yet. We do have a committee. Mayor has set up a committee, so we should be pulling all of the submittals together very shortly here, and then having the mayor meet with his committee that he set up. We're excited for that too. I can't honestly tell you a total number just yet, but if I look tomorrow, I can certainly send you guys an email and let you know the total number that we received.
Great.
Quite a few, Vanita? Were there quite a few entries?
I know we are at least over 150.
Oh, good.
That's great.
I wanted to just add that as an art teacher in the Ann Arbor schools, I thought it was a great time to talk to my students about our city and what makes our city so special. And I have an art colleague, Laura Wayne, who's an art teacher at King, and she put a great Google Drive lesson together. So we had fun looking at the past flag and doing designs for a new one. So it was a great lesson in Ann Arbor history.
Yeah, I've been trying not to look at them as they come in, so I have seen some, and I just been trying to just not do it. But
You know what's
there's
kind
some
of
nice
funny is this project's been coming on board for years, but now it's gonna launch during the bicentennial, which I think is perfect. It's like
Yes.
we meant for it not to take this
Yeah.
long,
That's
right?
right.
Yeah.
Sophie, you have your hand up.
Yeah, I was just thinking that the packet Peggy was talking about on the city might be useful for the project that we were talking about earlier for the basketball event, and they might appreciate having a copy of that, the basketball court mural.
Yeah, I could do that. It's I don't know where all these little, like, you know how when you do a Google Drive lesson, there's all these little snippets of little movies that have been taken from here and there. And yeah, it was very well done. It was fun. So yeah, I could share that. I have it in my drive.
Great. So next we'll go to report from committees. So I know that before we do that, Mary, you have your hands up. Do you want to do something before we go to committee stuff? No, okay. Marionetta, you wanted to report out about your meeting with the IPSI folks.
Yeah, just very briefly, about mid-September, I met with Aaron Seagraves, who is kind of leading the charge there in IPSI. The Arts Commission and the Parks Commission there have merged. And so they hadn't met as a merged group yet when Aaron and I met. But at the time, he said there were about 3 other members, and was very excited about a chance for our commission and their commission to meet, maybe on a Zoom. So if we could, perhaps the next steps, I said, would be to see what our meeting schedule is and see if we can coordinate that, just as an introduction, us and them, and ways to think about how we might better communicate with one another or collaborate with one another. So that's where we stand. I told him that once we met, I'd get back with him about possible meeting date for the 2 commissions to get together.
And I don't know, Marionette, if this preceded when you were on the commission, but they came and spoke at one of our meetings, and I went and spoke at one of their meetings, introducing them to like what we did, and they talked about what they've been doing. So we've done that, but we haven't all come together at any point. And I think because there'd be this many of us together, would have to be a public meeting, but I don't know if there'd have to be like a formal agenda or anything. John, you might know better than me.
I don't know. I'd leave it to Vanita. But Aaron Seagraves has a background with us. He was actually on staff, and he was the Art Commission staff person. So he probably knows the deep history of the Art Commission and how the Art Commission came about and works. So a good guy to connect with. So he, better than anyone, could probably help make that connection work.
And I think it's really interesting that they're combining with the Parks Commission. It'll be really interesting to see how that works. I've seen, it seems like currently a lot of our public art projects and have been championed by our parks. So it does seem like a really nice connection there. Thank you for connecting with him and making that connection happen again and keeping that alive.
Yes, no problem. And just Sophie's on the outreach with me, and just a shout out for her recruiting efforts to get some young people on board. So thank you, Sophie.
Yeah, I want to hear more about that.
Yeah, we had a response from a University of Michigan master's student which was slightly more academically advanced than we were thinking of. But I don't think that's a problem in itself. I'm not sure whether there's any kind of procedure we should follow, or we should just make it up, or what we should do. But it would be nice to see, you know, what he can offer us and what we can offer him. And he's very eager to, he's much more on the business side, and he's kind of eager to see how he can help and get involved. So kind of interesting.
I owe you some information on the guidelines for students participating on boards and commissions. So I will work on that and hopefully get it to you early next week, if that's okay, Sophie.
Thank you, Vanita.
Yeah.
I would say in general, he's welcome to attend as a member of the public and talk and not vote at meetings until, I mean, at the very least, and can always come to working group meetings as well, because those aren't, you know, formally elected people anyway. So
yeah, I think that was part of the idea, was how well Vanita will know, or will put together information, how he could be more intimately involved with actual committee meetings rather than just in the public meetings, and you know, what the criteria are for that.
We had an initiative directly about that, and I don't know whether it passed by the commission or not. And I believe the bylaws allows us to appoint, you know, members of the community and task them with whatever we want. But there was, I think there's somewhere a write-up in our minutes somewhere about that initiative. So it's been, you know, it's been well thought through at some point. And Vanita might have the records.
well, and my understanding is that anyone can participate in committee meetings. Like David Issa, who's a former, he's not currently on our commission, he comes to our CIP meetings and still helps us, advises us and whatnot. So Vanita will correct us if we're wrong, but I'm pretty sure anyone can come to our working group meetings. Just not too many of us, because then it has to be public.
Right,
Yes,
and then
and
we
I
have to
think-
have a public meeting, right?
Yeah.
So really, we need to be able to describe the committees to him and see which one, you know, he'd be interested, or if he wants to try them all out. I don't know.
Yeah, and I think the annual report that I put together at the beginning of the year lists each of the committees and who's on it. So that might be a good working doc for you to share, to get him acclimated with what we're doing and whatnot, or what we planned on doing at one point. Sophie, do you have other things to share from the outreach committee, or Marianetta? How about your special projects committee? Golden Paintbrush? I know I saw emails and stuff, but I don't know if we formally talked about it.
Yeah, well, as I say, Vanita kind of took the baton on this one, and she did send out some information about when the awards were going to be, which perhaps, Vanita, you have at your fingertips more than I do right now.
Well, I don't want that. I'm gonna spoil it if I say who it actually is, and before it's actually out to the public.
No, but there's going to be an award, isn't there, for the Golden Paintbrush?
Yes, Golden Paintbrush Award. I don't have it in front of me. I believe it's November the 20th at City Council, where we'll be doing a presentation to the community group that was selected overall.
Good.
We had a small committee meet, or there were about 5 or 6 of us, and everybody was unanimous on who to promote. And I don't think you all will be a bit surprised of who was selected. So I'm excited for that to happen.
Anita, can you make sure to send a reminder out to us when that's going to happen at the city council meeting? Because I'd like to come and support those people.
I sure will.
Thank you.
What does the award look like this year?
It's still the same. We're still using the same logo that we used a couple of years ago. It's the golden paintbrush placard, which is going to go on an actual certificate. And then we actually purchased really nice frames to place them in for the presentation with the mayor.
Great. Excellent. Do any other committees have any updates they would like to share? John?
I sent a survey to everyone, a leadership survey. I'm the only person on that committee because everyone else is a potential candidate. And so I think everyone, I hope, got one. I did not send one to Cynthia. But Fong, I believe I sent one to you. Did you receive it? The leadership survey?
I didn't recall. Maybe
Was it
I
just
should.
yesterday or today? Very recently?
Yes, yesterday,
Oh.
maybe.
Okay.
In any event, I'll send you another one, Fong. I thought I included you, but in any event, did anyone receive it?
I did.
Okay,
Yeah.
good, at least two.
Yeah.
And the rest of you are on that email. So if you could get it in by the 17th, 10 days, I'll write something up, and then we need to have an election for chair and vice chair at our next meeting. That's all.
Hi, John. I got that email.
Good. Thank you, Fawn.
John, do you want me to complete it? Just like half of it? I don't self-eval, right? I just do.
Yeah, don't explain how great
How awesome I
you are
am.
doing.
Yeah.
But yes, please. And then what I do is I pull it all together, and everyone's anonymous. I kind of group it and then distribute it all. That there's a recommendation, then we'll probably just come out of it. And then if someone would like to nominate themselves or anyone else at the meeting, that's perfectly fine. And then we have a secret ballot, but I don't know how we can have a secret ballot on Zoom. So maybe telepathy, mental telepathy somehow. But Cynthia, not Cynthia, Vanita will figure that out how to do.
I might find something creative. Sure.
Perfect.
Thanks for that, Julie.
Perfect. And the design review board did not meet, so I do not have anything to report on that.
All right. Any other committees or, working groups that want to report out? All right. That is the end of our agenda. Are there any personal, professional updates people want to share with the group? Sophie.
I'll just mention that we had a very successful but last October Art Hop a couple of weekends ago, and it was freezing cold on Saturday, but it was okay on Sunday. And so from now on, we're only going to have Art Hop in June.
Oh, okay.
So it'll be a little bit less frantic, and there are so many things happening in the fall. So
Yeah.
it's going to be third weekend of June in future. West Side Art Hop Art Fair on the west side of Ann Arbor.
Sarah?
Motawi Tileworks will be hosting its first ever winter market event And that is centered around our staff art sales. So there's a lot of staff that are just amazing artists. So you get to see what they make off the clock. We have a professional Santa and Mrs. Claus that will be there. There will be a tile signing with Noel Motawi, and we've partnered with Metzger's German restaurant that's just down the street from us on off of Zeeb. And they are going to be selling delicious German delicacies. So it is going to be Christmas magic, Saturday, December 9th at Motawi.
Awesome. That sounds really fun. Bring my kids to see Santa and buy myself stuff.
Right.
Keep your eyes, yeah.
Go ahead, Mary.
Oh, yeah. Oh, it just keep your eyes peeled for all the window art that is popping up. We have over 70 storefront signups in Washtenaw County alone. Our team is up in Midland, Michigan right now. We have 10 artists up there painting 60 storefronts in Midland, Michigan. So it's happening. It's growing, it's contagious, and it's so much fun. So pray for me. I will be freezing.
I will just share with everyone that this weekend is the Guild of Artists and Artisans' first fundraiser. We still have a few tickets left, so if you haven't gotten yours, you can pop online and grab those. It's at the Ipsy Cocktail Club. It's called the Big Top Bazaar. We're gonna have food and drinks and some activities. You can throw your own pot. We'll soon have some live painting. There's a silent auction. There's going to be a contortionist and some other fun surprises that I can't give away. So you have to show up to see them. So still a couple tickets if you want to grab those, or if you can't make it, I understand that you can still participate in the silent auction from your comfort of your home. So there's some really phenomenal artwork on there that you can bid on, as well as some really cool Ann Arbor stuff. Like you can get an AFC membership for 2024. If you like golf, there's some golfing things, stuff like that. So I encourage you all to participate if you can, and I would love to see you there.
Can you share the link so for the silent auction? Great.
Yeah.
What was the date again, Allison?
It's this Saturday, November 11th. So I'll share the silent auction and the ticket links to everybody again.
I will be there, Allison.
I know, I saw your name on the
I'm
list.
excited.
Yay.
Sounds like the contortionist is worth the price of the ticket.
It's gonna be entertaining. All right, all. If there aren't any other updates, it's been a pleasure seeing you all and talking art and getting all these updates. And I will see you again next month.
Number 6.
All right. Then we will adjourn.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.
See you on the
Everyone.
streets.
Okay, bye.
Bye.
Stay warm, Mary.
Mhm.